Okay, we're going to do some perspective drawing, and this is meant to just follow along with me, pause the video to get caught up. I'm going to go pretty fast so that this video isn't super long, but you can pause anytime you want. There's scratch paper in bins at the centers of the tables, and you'll notice this is old computer paper that's like stuck together. So I'm just showing you how you're going to just very carefully take some apart. If you really want to, you can take these little edges off if you'd like. But throw them away if you do. It's kind of a satisfying thing to do. Anyway, okay, so this is ready to go. I've got a ruler in hand. I've got a pencil. That's all that you need to do this. So far you've learned that perspective there's several kinds. There's 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. If you're in the Art 8B class, you've done 1 point before when you did your surrealism rooms last year. 8A class, you're going to still do 2 point, but we'll review 1 point really briefly and you'll be okay. Now with 2 point perspective, you have noticed that there is 2 vanishing points is basically why it's called 2 point. And what you've noticed too is that instead of the face of the box closest to you, it is an edge of the box that is the closest thing to you. So you have different sets of parallel lines. In fact, I would like you to write this mantra so that you can remember: sets of parallel lines run to the same vanishing point. Oops. So I think that's how you spell parallel. Might be wrong. Anyway, so we want, if they're parallel to each other, they're going to go to the same vanishing point. Now a box has 3 sets of parallel lines running on it. I don't have a box sitting here to show you, but we've got the straight up and down ones. They're just going to go straight up and down. But we have some running one direction and some running another direction. That's why we have those that are receding into space. Those are going into 2 different spots. Now, if you followed one video already where you now have a box sitting above, on, and below the line, I need to draw those really fast still, but I just want to point out, in fact, I'm only going to do one. I'm going to do one right here below. That's the one you're going to work with for just a minute. We might look at some of those others in a second as well. So I'm just going to have a line. It doesn't really matter. Oh, that's not a very... Some of the rulers in the classroom are very bumpy. That one is not one of the greatest ones in the room. Okay, let's get our line straight up and down. And it is smarter to draw light than to draw dark, but for video's sake, I'm going to draw dark so that the video can capture what's happening. Now this is that closest edge to me, and I'm going to go ahead and run these. Remember, these are called either receding lines or orthogonals. They can be called either thing. I can run those all the way, but I'm going to draw them really light because a lot of that's going to be erased. Or later, when you get really good at this, you might not draw them all the way. We'll probably stop drawing these all the way so we don't have to erase so much. So running to the vanishing point. Now these are the sides. These 2 are parallel to each other in real life, so they run to the same vanishing point. Here's a different set of parallel lines running to this vanishing point. If you're ever unsure of which vanishing point it should run to, think, what is it parallel to in real life? That's all you have to think, because sets of parallel lines run to the same vanishing point. Now I'm just going to go ahead, we can see the top of the box since it's below our eye level line or the horizon line. And all right. So now I am just caught up with you guys. Oh, just about. I forgot to draw my straight up and downs right here. And perfect. Okay, so we would then be erasing some of these lines if we were still drawing. I'm going to kind of get them out of the way so that we can start doing some cool stuff. Okay, now let's just start simple. Let's go ahead and let's just put a door in this side right here. That seems pretty easy. Now remember, everything that's running straight up and down just runs straight up and down. We don't have to change anything. It's just going to go up and down. So I'm going to draw a side to the door. This is what I want you to do with your box that's below your line. One side, next side, straight up and down. I'm making sure visually it looks like it's perpendicular or parallel to the sides of my box. Okay. But the top of the door recedes into space. What is it parallel to in real life? Well, it's parallel to this bottom line, it's parallel to this top line, and those run to that vanishing point. So the top of my door needs to run to that vanishing point. And a little extra. Okay, so we've got a door running in perspective. Man, my ruler is so bumpy. I'm sorry if my lines look a little bumpy. It is my ruler. I'm not going to stop the video though. We're going to get it done. Okay, so door, easy. Now there's a few cool things we can do. There's kind of a magical line to make this door look like it's popping right into the building. We could put in maybe parallel to this line, this back hallway. Maybe this is kind of a hallway. Back in here, we add this one little baby line and suddenly like magical things will happen. So from this corner, boom. And that makes it look like it sinks in, just one little line. Again, it's parallel to this, so they're running to that vanishing point. It's just that little line makes it look like it pops in. Now, say we didn't want that to be, though, like a hallway going in. We wanted it to just kind of show the width of this wall. Well, we can do that too. We can add that wall's thickness here, and erase this line up to that spot. And now we just see the edge of that wall. We can even erase this line down here. And now it really looks like it's just going into now an open box. But we still have that little baby line right there running to that vanishing point. And this just goes straight up and down. Pretty easy, right? Okay, if you need to pause the video to catch up with that, do that right now. But I'm going to keep moving on. Let's go ahead and let's do some kind of crazy stuff. This would be the same thing for a window if we were to put something over here. So let's throw a window on this side. We can do that. Maybe I'll actually put the window right up. There's so many ways we could do this. We'll put the window right here, kind of at the edge, because I want to do something kind of cool right here on this part. So let's go ahead and put a window. So straight up and down, straight up and down. Now the top and the bottom of the window are parallel to this and this. They need to run to that vanishing point. So here we go. Bottom of window, top of window, and erase any extra little lines. Now, how do we make this look like it sinks in, kind of like has a thickness to it, like that? Well, it's going to be, we can only see this corner. This one, it's back behind. This one's behind the wall. There's only one corner we can see. So we're just going to add that little guy right there. I'm not going very far, just a little bit to that vanishing point because it's parallel with all of these. And then I'm just going to do my straight up and downs, not very thick. And this one needs to go to that vanishing point from this corner. So it's this little corner. We need to see the bottom line. It needs to go to the vanishing point. And your window now has like a little mass to it. So kind of cool. You could put maybe there's a little cross bars through it. If you wanted to, we could add that in there. Maybe it kind of comes down and kind of is in this little space right here. That kind of hooks in there. We could do if one went this way through it, then we'd have to use the vanishing point to draw those. So I drew both of those. This just goes straight up and down, and you decide which one crossed over in the center. And you could put a little something decorative in there if you wanted to. Okay, so we're doing some cool things. We're starting to alter just this from a box. We're changing it up. We're doing some awesome stuff. Now there's one kind of a thing that you can do also to alter this. Is this we're kind of taking stuff out and away, like we took this piece away, we took a chunk of the wall away. We can also alter this form by adding things to it, by adding more boxes to it, for example. So let's say I wanted this right here, there'd be a little deck that came off of here. I have to be a little opposite this time. Normally we've been starting with this edge that is closest to us the whole time. Instead of doing that edge, I'm going to do this edge that is kind of back behind, because I need to know where this hooks on. So it's sort of like I'm doing this all a little bit backwards, but once you get good at it, it won't really matter what order you go in. So I'm going to imagine there's a little deck coming off of here about right here. Well, maybe it'll be a little higher up. That wouldn't really make sense. We'd hit our heads on that one. Let's put it way up here. Okay, it's not going to be very thick. It's just this back edge. Now it's going to stick out of the wall right from here to here. And if we think about it, this edge is going to be parallel with these lines, right? So it needs to run to that vanishing point where that one ran. So I'm going to go ahead and put this front edge of my deck. Oh, that ruler is so bumpy. And this side. And now I'm going to decide, well, the deck's going to it's going to end about right here. So that's just straight up and down. Okay. So we've got the side of the deck made. We won't be seeing that back there anymore. And so it's just a little spot sticking out. Now this edge that we can see, it's going to be parallel to this and this. It's just like we're adding a little flat box to this, but we started in a weird spot. And this can change and add to it. I'm going to run that top corner and the bottom corner to those vanishing points. And I'm going to go ahead and run this back side to the vanishing point too, since I've got it over there. And I need to decide, oh, it needs to end, so I don't really need to go that far. Notice I'm not drawing all the way anymore because I'm tired of erasing. So I'm just drawing it part of the way. But we're going to have it end right here. And that side parallel, all of those ran to that point. And my straight up and downs are straight up and down. So now, erase some of these lines. I kind of like to erase as I go. I can't see this anymore. And now I've added this little platform that pops out of this box by adding. So we can take things away or we can add things on, which is really fun. Now we can do weird things like make illusions if we wanted to. Let's say that I wanted to make this look like it was a swimming pool or something. I could go ahead and kind of make edges to this. I just am kind of redrawing. Oh, that was really close. I might do that again. Now again, pause this anytime if you're still working on that little platform coming off, then pause it and take a little minute. Okay, I just drew the sides of that. I'm going to come in and see if I can erase that a little better. Okay, and I'm going to draw this. So it's just an opening to like a swimming pool. This is going to become like a floating swimming pool. Okay, so I just made an opening. Okay, this is still here. So it's just an opening. Now, right now, it just looks like a rectangle sitting on there. Like it could be a rug or something on there, but that's not what it is. We want to make this look like a swimming pool. All we have to do, and this probably couldn't actually happen. Would be an illusion kind of a thing. If I dropped a line straight down from there, suddenly, just like when we did the door and we popped it in, we drop a line down, then suddenly it's a hole going down in. And you're like, but where does it go? I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know. You can do crazy, weird things with perspective that make no sense and are cool looking. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. Now there's one other thing when we talk about taking away. You have a couple of magic corners. I call them the magic corners on a cube or rectangular prism kind of a shape. This corner is not a magic corner. This corner is not a magic corner. The magic corners are the corners where you can only see one side. So I can see two sides on this corner. I see two sides on this corner. I see three sides on this corner. I see two sides on this corner, but I only see one side here and one side here. The magic corners are really, really easy to change the shape of your box because you only have to just draw one thing. And this is, so let's say this corner, I wanted it to make it look like it was crumbling away. So I could kind of come in here and go and kind of crumble it, break it. It is breaking away. Erase this and boom, it's done. That's all I had to do. Or let's say that this corner, I wanted to make it look like back behind here, it's like curved and it's going to become something different. Like I could just go, I could turn this into a curve instead of a corner. Boom, it's curved now on that corner. Only these two corners, just with one line of any shape you want, can you change. If you wanted to do that anywhere else, you would have to use some rules of perspective to make that happen. So it gets a little bit trickier. We can do a tricky chunk out of this corner. It's the hardest, this is probably the hardest thing, is to take a piece right out of here, but we're gonna do it anyway. Because if you can do that, take a piece out of this corner, you can do anything. It's really easy. So what I'm gonna do, it's kind of like I'm turning this corner into a box, and then I'm gonna erase that box away. So I'm gonna draw a line there. I'm gonna draw a line here. And I'm going to draw my line straight up and down. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and draw, I think I'm going to change it just so you guys can see this better. I'm going to draw this a little bit shorter. I think it's going to make it work a little bit better for you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and draw the back of this box from that corner. So I went from where I went straight up and down where it met. Right here where it meets. And I didn't go very far drawing, right? Because I'm really getting tired of erasing. So now I've just drawn the box on this corner. So now what I'm going to do, these three lines, I'm just going to erase them. I don't need them there anymore. I'm going to use this shape to guide the rest of my drawing. So I know right here, where this corner and this corner, there should be like a bottom I can see. So I'm going to go ahead. It's sort of like we're drawing this box like it's made of glass. Like we erased the front edge. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but I erased that front edge and now we're just drawing the back edges of the box. I didn't quite go far enough with that one. And if you do this super accurately, like I did not do it super accurately, Mrs. Sigg. If you do it super accurately, then this and this should line up. Mine are pretty close. So I just dropped this to this corner and now I took a chunk out of that corner. It's not that hard. Like I said, if you can do this, you can do anything. That's probably about the hardest thing you're going to do, except for maybe stairs. Stairs are another beast of their own. So I've got kind of a corner chunked out. Now, there's other things I can do. When we play with some other things, like say maybe you want to make a whole different shape than a box to begin with. Well, let's use your box that's up in the sky that you've got. I don't know where you put yours, but I'm going to stick mine right here. It's not going to be huge. And I'm just really quickly going to find the sides. There's some cool things you can do just kind of from the beginning that just to kind of just change the whole shape of things. Okay, and the bottom of the box, and this side. Okay, so I've got my box sitting up there in the sky. I'm going to erase some of my extra lines so they're not in my way. And that's why I'm always drawing light. I don't want to leave ghost lines behind because in your final project, your paper can dent kind of easy. It's kind of a toothier paper. And when you're coloring it in, when we talk about Prismacolor pencils in a minute, it can leave that ghost behind, that indentation that we've experienced before. Now with this, let's say I wanted this to be like just like an angled ramp. There's one easy spot. If I just drew a line from here to here and I erased that, suddenly it became triangular, like on that side. easy. That's kind of like that secret, that easy corner. Right now, these are my easy corners. I could curve this and make it like a skateboard ramp. Whee! Okay, that'd be super fun. I could do a lot of things on this corner and this corner. Those are easy ones. But what if I wanted it to be angular, say this direction, and it's this part we keep? Well, let's try it. I'm going to go ahead and go from corner to corner. Okay, you'll use your ruler, of course. Now, how do I know where to go here? Well, I can see this corner and I can see this corner, so I'm okay. Sometimes you have to draw the box like it's see-through so that you know where to go. We're lucky we still can. Now that looks crazy. You're like, what do I erase? This doesn't make any sense. This looks really, really weird. Well, you can see the parts that we're going to erase. It starts to play with your head a little bit. We don't need this corner anymore. And we don't need any of this anymore. And now I've got this kind of like triangular prism with a flat face in perspective. So with the shape of this box, it's a kind of can be a guide to a lot of other shapes and a lot of other things. It can even be a guide for curved things. We haven't played a lot with curved things. So let's go back to this doorway, okay, down here. And let's say instead of a flat top, I wanted this to be an arched doorway. Well, we're going to make some guides in here to make it look like it's an arched doorway now. And one of the ways we can do that, we want the arch to stop and start at the same place on each side. So to know where that same place is, I'm going to hold my ruler up, going through here, and I'm going to make just a mark here and a mark here. I know that's the same distance for each of those, even though it might not be in reality, in the perspective drawing. In reality, that would be starting and stopping at the same place. There's another trick I can do. It's difficult to know where the center is. It's not where you just measure and cut it in half, because more distance is, like, the further you get out, the tinier distance measurements get together. So to find the center of anything, to know where the arch touches at the top, you can do a trick where you just do an X through any rectangle you have. If you make an X very lightly, it's just a guide X. If I make an X through here, I know wherever this ended up, where these crisscrossed, that's the center. It's a rule. It will happen anytime, no matter how angled it is. Drawing that X will find the middle. So it's your secret. If I wanted to find the center of this box, I could have done an X here and I would have known where the center was, no matter what. I can draw a line straight up from that center, or just make a mark, and I know this is the middle right here. I can go ahead and erase all this so it doesn't confuse me, these little guides. But now I have 3 points. I've got the sides and the top, and now I can use my drawing skills to go ahead and think about what would be the shape. It has to touch there, and it has to come down and end there. And I could make this an arched doorway instead of an angled doorway really, really accurately. And now this became an arched door. So that's kind of a cool thing. You could do that to windows. You could do that to a lot of stuff. So these are kind of some of the basic things. Now I could add more things. I could make pyramids. Pyramids are really easy. Let's just throw a quick pyramid in, and then we'll stop the video here, and we're going to come back to this drawing in just a little bit. Let's throw a little pyramid up here. I'm going to just draw right now. I'm going to draw the bottom of my box first. I know you're like, really? That sounds crazy. But I am. And like I said, once you start drawing a lot of boxes, you're going to be able to do things kind of backwards. You won't have to draw that front edge first. So this is the bottom, again, because we're looking above our eye level line, so I'm seeing the bottom of there. Now, if I wanted this to be kind of pyramidish, I could find the center and go straight up from it and get a point. That might be a smart way to do it. Or if I don't really care, like I just kind of am drawn, I could just kind of plop a point anywhere I think looks good. I am going to go ahead and do my X and find the center and come straight up from that. And I can put my point anywhere I want on here. So I just put a point, and then if I just draw my lines from all these 3 corners to that point, I have a pyramid. Super easy. So that center trick, finding the X, finding the center, it's really useful for so many things. And honestly, I think 2-point perspective is easier than 1-point perspective. If you can do 1-point perspective, you can do this for sure. And pyramid, boom. And I just, again, I used that X straight up and I came to a point. So kind of fun stuff. If I wanted to make this pyramid look like it had like bricks, I can kind of change the texture, but use your rules and know that as it moves up, we're just going to keep following that. But they probably, as they move up, they get a little closer together because they're getting farther away from us, right? So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, like of how far to put them, but that's where we get to just be artists and draw. And you could make it look like it has like those bricks, and you could drop in some of these like kind of brick texture-y angles, and you could make that look really cool if you wanted to. So there's a lot of things you can do. Now, like I said, we're going to come back and visit this in a minute. Pause the video, keep trying out some of these things, use the magic corners on something, try a pyramid, do all those things, take some chunks out, play, add a little bit more to this if you want to. We're going to even add some more in just a second. So good job, guys. You're doing awesome.